Welcome to another episode of TrustBuilders, the podcast that has transformative conversations with marketing and sales professionals and business leaders that all help us build more trust. Today's episode is a special one because we will talk to Thad Barnette, who is the senior video producer at Mazella Companies, and he is heading up the video production team at Sheffield Metals. He is also the face and creator of the Metal Roofing channel on YouTube, and he is a They Ask You Answer certified videographer and has been doing They Ask You Answer since 2018. Now, in today's conversation, Thad and I are really going to be diving deep into what it takes to not only build a successful YouTube channel, but one that really helps you to educate your customers and build more trust. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome to Trust Builders. Thad, I am so thrilled that you have joined me from your awesome looking YouTube setup there. And we'll get to that in a second, but you and I met for the first time at Impact Live a few weeks ago. And when I asked you to come to the show, I was so thrilled that you joined me here today and that you immediately agreed. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Hannah. I really appreciate you inviting me on.
Awesome. So the reason why I was so excited to have you on the show is because you have built over the last 6 years a tremendously successful YouTube channel called the Metal Roofing channel.
Yep.
And I'm just looking down on my paper. It is 41,000 subscribers. You have more than 500 videos, and your most successful videos have like more than 500,000 views. So Thad, let's start with the obvious there. Why is a roofing company doing a YouTube channel?
Yeah, so there's a few things, right? The first thing is we want to become the most trusted voice in our space. And we sell B2B, right? We don't sell to end users, let's say homeowners, building owners, people that are purchasing metal roofs for their property. We don't sell to them. We sell to metal roofing contractors and fabricators, so B2B. And it's important to us as a manufacturer to make sure that we are putting out our stance when it comes to best practices, correct business decisions. We want to help our customers grow. And video is a great way to be able to express those messages that we want to pass along to our customers.
I love that it's like all about educating buyers and building trust. Um, Now, though, you could have chosen to name it the Mazella Roofing channel. Why call it the Metal Roofing channel?
Yeah, it's really become its own brand, kind of its own entity. It's a way that we can take a little bit of that initial bias out, or at least perception of bias. We're not hiding that we're a Mazella company or Sheffield Metals selling metal coil and sheet to fabricators and contractors, but it kind of gives us another platform and another brand to grow where it's a little bit more of a direct connection. I would say when I started the channel, I knew nothing about roofing. I didn't come from the industry. So I had to learn from day one. And so it's so important to me to be able to harness the knowledge that our subject matter experts have internally, because we really do have a great team across the country that helped me learn and helps everybody learn on camera as well. So it was super important that when I first started, I made the audience aware that I don't know anything about this. So me and the audience, we're going to learn together. And that kind of immediately created that initial sense of trust, I think, with the audience, because they're like, oh, okay, this isn't a know-it-all or whatever. He's kind of helping us along in his own journey. So by watching me learn, they're learning as well.
And it really comes across when you watch your videos, even after so many videos, it still comes across like you're very approachable, you have a very good on camera presence, I guess.
Yeah, thank you very much.
But it's maybe a little bit more than that. It's just that you're on my side, right? You're like next to me rather than just talking at me.
For sure. Yeah, it was a very conscious decision that I get as hands-on as possible with whatever we're doing and making sure that I'm experiencing the topic that we're talking about and not just spouting it off. So we do a lot of podcast style roundtable videos, but we also do a lot of on the job site custom builds, mock-ups, tests, experiments. We try to do as much of that as possible as well, and really kind of make it entertaining and educational. And if you think about the audience that we deliver to, they're on the job site every day. They're putting on roofs, and having somebody that they can relate to that also tries to put in that kind of work, I think has been pretty important.
Yeah, so showing really what others aren't willing to show, because there's a lot of roofing material on YouTube, but I think you guys draw back the curtain quite a lot more and really showing what it would be like to install one or how it's manufactured, etc.
Yeah, I think that because we have such a heavy emphasis on content and the leadership has really given us creative freedom when it comes to what types of content that we create, I think it's really opened the door for us to be able to explore other topics that may not be like classic marketing topics or standard inbound methodology, but it's a way to be like a creator and showcase other things that you might not normally do as a marketer. And it's been fun and rewarding, and I think that it's really kind of helped our brand affinity grow.
Yeah, we'll get to the consequences or the sales impact in a minute there. But I want to pick up on something that you mentioned. You were mentioning the subject matter experts that you interview and that you get to talk to and really learn with your audience from. Now, where do you get your content ideas from? You have more than 500 videos. Someone maybe who hasn't done this yet might say, hey, aren't you running out of ideas anytime soon?
So initially, it comes directly from the sales team and leadership team, people that are interfacing with the customers on a daily basis. You have to be able to leverage that information. If I was starting over again, I would interview the sales team. I'd ask what types of questions they're receiving from their customers, what types of things are driving customers away from our competitors and to us. Things like that really kind of spark some thought process behind what the audience really cares about. And that's kind of what kickstarts it for us. And then over time, it's really our audience has fed us content ideas. We get lots of comments of questions that people want to know, other video ideas. And then at this point, I'm talking directly with customers as well. And I think that's been really key for truly understanding our audience. That way, we're not hearing it secondhand, but as a content creator, we're directly in the trenches talking to customers and understanding their pain points and what they need. And that's where a lot of content ideas come from.
So, really, primarily answering as honestly and as transparently as you can a customer question.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the goal with our content is to educate, right? And the subject that you're educating on has to be something that they care about and something that matters to their business. Because at the end of the day, they're trying to grow their business, they're trying to support their family. So really, if you understand that, then you can kind of figure out what content is going to help support that in that context.
Yeah, that makes sense. Something that I've seen you consistently do on your YouTube channel is you're consistently using certain formats, like Q&A Monday. How has that evolved over time, and why is that helpful or is it helpful to stay with consistent formats? And if so, why and how?
Yeah, that's kind of been a development through online content creation over the years. If you look at like the YouTube originally, creators would just put out any type of video. Every single week, if they were releasing a new video, you never know what it would be. And that's kind of how YouTube started. And you kind of fell in love with the creator and then started watching whatever they happen to do. As more and more creators started to come about within YouTube and other platforms eventually, that's when it kind of got more popular to do a format based approach. And really, I think it was because of the YouTube algorithm when it introduced. because the algorithm started to award watch duration and the amount of videos that you put out. So as soon as that happened, there's a few like classic YouTube channels that just popped off because they had a consistent format that followed the algorithm's requirements, basically. So now everybody does format type content, and there's not only will it help within the YouTube algorithm and watch duration and things like that, but it'll also give your audience some expectations. And I think setting expectations is one of the most important things that you can do on YouTube specifically right now, both with your titles, your thumbnails, your formats, your publishing schedule, all of that stuff. Expectation is super important to get your super fans to keep coming back. The other thing that formats have allowed us to do is remain consistent without being burnt out or overwhelmed. If you get a consistent format that you can follow, you don't have to wonder what your next move is. You can kind of set up, you can batch shoot, you can prepare for a whole series. And basically for us, we release 3 videos a week, 2 long form videos, 1 short. One of those long form videos is a similar podcast feel, that roundtable discussion. And that's been a consistent format pretty much since we started the channel. And that's allowed us to kind of answer those types of questions where we can have a panel of people, we can have a discussion. On the other long form video that we release every week, that's kind of where it gets more hands-on. And sometimes they're one-off videos, but oftentimes we'll do a series, let's say of 8 videos, and then those 8 videos will have a consistent format. And that way we can batch shoot those, we can set expectations through those formats. But we also keep it fresh, right? It's not the same thing every time.
And your short form video?
Yeah, the short strategy is a little different. We have sometimes we'll repurpose content. Sometimes we'll create teasers for upcoming content or content that's already been released. Sometimes we'll promote videos. So the shorts content has kind of a few different formats that we pull from, because the shorts strategy is based on both the shorts feed and search and discovery. It's kind of pulling from a couple different things there. So it's a little bit different than the VOD is the long form videos.
Yeah, and that is quite rapidly evolving right now as well, right? The short.
It has, since the shorts have been announced on YouTube. The algorithm has shifted. Originally, there was no like shorts being discovered with search. It was 100% the shorts feed when you're swiping. But now shorts are popping up in every search result. So it is completely shifting at all times. YouTube is always experimenting, trying new things. And so that's part of being a creator, is kind of staying up to date and making sure that you're not staying stagnant with what you're doing in your strategy.
Yeah. So let's shift gears here a bit. It's all great to have 500,000 views on a video, but your guys are not in it for just the views and the vanity metrics. How is this actually impacting sales?
I mean, that's a great point, because if we wanted more subscribers or more views, we could do different content that was specifically to do that. But what's so important for us is to make sure that we're giving our sales team super helpful content that they can use on their daily calls. They can use in assignment selling. They can address objections. So that right there is a huge metric that we follow up on constantly, is how much the sales team is using content, what pieces of content that they prefer to use, which pieces of content are most successful when it comes to answering questions, helping them to not have to answer the same question over and over again. So that right there is a massive thing that we pay a lot of attention to. And also when it comes to inbound customers, tracking form submissions on the website, incoming leads that we qualify through marketing and then sales qualifies. We always make sure to document any types of wins that the sales team has when it comes to revenue. Or let's say, hey, they're like, I just landed this big deal, and they came from the YouTube channel. They said, we watched the metal roofing channel or whatever, or we came from this page on the website. So making sure that stuff gets documented, and that way everybody can kind of share in the wins, first of all, and kind of make sure that we're on the right track. But then also it's important to understand what's working, what's not working, what we should do more of. I think that's super key to look inward and analyze what's working, because it's really easy to get lost in the day to day, just cranking out content. But you have to be able to take that time to look back and understand what's working.
But it sounds like you still have, even though you've been with Mazella for over 6 years, you still have regular like revenue meetings every week or every other week where you touch base with sales and touch base with the other parts of the marketing team to make sure you guys are aligned. Am I
Yeah,
reading that right?
that's correct. Yeah, I mean, we have a formal monthly sales and marketing meeting for Sheffield Metals. We And then in between that, it's constant communication with different members of the sales team. I mean, we're a national company, so it's a lot of people to keep involved. Making sure that we're staying on top of that, including everyone that we can, and understanding which parts of the business may need a little bit extra help with when it comes to content or assignment selling, or maybe this product line we need to focus on a little bit more. So there's kind of a whole range of things. But yeah, that communication is so important, and you really can't be successful without it.
Yeah. You mentioned assignment selling a couple of times, and that sort of goes hand in hand with the selling seven videos, and which is like a type of, or are seven different types of educational videos that can be used all over if someone listening is not aware of that. Well, what do you, in your experience, found is the most successful if I have two or three videos that I can focus on right now to help my sales team along? In your experience, what are the most urgent or most important videos I should be focusing on?
One of the first ones, and this is in the context of they ask you answer, one of the most important ones I think you can start with is what Marcus Sheridan calls the 80% video. And that's where you take the, let's say, the most asked questions. Let's say top four, top five, whatever it might be, the questions that your customers ask the most. And then you put those into one video so that the sales team can, let's say, if they're going to book a call, I'm going to send out that video ahead of the call, ask them to watch it, and that video will answer those first five questions that they're pretty much guaranteed to have. Number one, that's going to save you so much time as a salesperson, right? I'm not going to have to answer those right at the front of the call. We can jump right into what we're talking about. But it's also going to give the customer some peace of mind, right? It's going to, they're going to come from the perspective that, oh, they understand where I'm at when it comes to my on the buyer's journey, where I'm sitting, my perspective. So I think that really helps to build trust. So I'd start there.
Yeah. Number two, what would that be?
I think another one is what Marcus calls the bad fit video. And that would be, again, it's that expectation. And I keep coming back to that. You're explaining your ideal buyer, which is not everyone, right? If depending on your business, let's say you've got one persona that you focus on completely, and there's another persona that you just say, hey, this persona is not a good fit. We can't sell to them. Maybe they're outside of our region. Maybe they do a type of work that we can't support. If you say that up front in a video, then somebody can self-identify. Hey, I'm this person. They're not going to be a good fit for me. We don't have to waste each other's times. So I think that one's a big one as well.
And as Marcus always says, there's nothing more attractive to my ideal buyer than saying who I'm not a good fit for. So that's okay. I can see that working well. All right. In the very beginning of this conversation, you mentioned something about how when you came, you had a lot of creative freedom and you were handed the reins. How can I be a good manager as a business leader or as leadership team to get the most out of my videographer?
I think the first thing that you have to make sure that you do is fully buy in. And just because, I mean, hiring somebody is a huge first step, but that doesn't guarantee full leadership buy in. You really have to understand what the process is when it comes to video creation. And I think part of that is doing some research yourself as a manager, really understanding what that process is and allowing that to take place. The other thing is really understanding what they need when it comes to resources and access to subject matter experts. If you bring a video person in and say, hey, you got to make 2 videos a week, 3 videos a week, whatever it might be, but they're struggling to get access to subject matter experts. They cannot get someone to review a video for the life of them. That's just going to set them up for failure. So understanding the necessities when it comes to what it takes to create a successful video is absolutely paramount, because otherwise the video content is not going to be successful. That video producer is going to feel defeated and the relationship is going to be strained in general. So I think that's what I would say there.
Yeah. Now, if someone is listening and they're thinking, great, that sounds amazing, but there's so many video creators already, there's so much content out there. Is it worth, if I'm in the construction industry, is it worth starting a YouTube channel, in your opinion, if I start today?
Yeah, it's worth it. And it's really easy to look at other creators and say they're doing great stuff. Mine's just going to get lost in the void. But the thing is, like, if you're looking at video production from a marketing perspective, you're doing it for your customers, not for the other person's viewers. So start with the mindset that, hey, I'm going to create video content to help my sales team and my customers understand what we do here better, and look at it that way rather than trying to figure out how to push through all of the mess of content of YouTube. The other thing is, just because there's other creators out there, that doesn't mean that they're you. And you can really leverage what you and your company has that's different from everybody else. Show that personality, show your specific uniqueness when it comes to your business or your people or your personnel, your products, and really incorporate that into your video content. Being yourself and understanding that you're making content for your sales team and your customers. Those two things are really going to set the stage.
Awesome. As someone who really has imposter syndrome, that's a really good thing to hear, because if you have that kind of mindset, you're not a travel vlogger who just wants to appeal to everyone and anyone, but you're actually just, you need to satisfy the needs of your sales team and answer your customers, your buyers' questions, and you're going to be just fine.
Yeah. Start with the basics and scale up from there, right? It's all about answering those questions and becoming trusted with your pocket, right? The people around you, your customers, your sales team. That's so important to start there.
So let's start with the basics. You have an awesome studio. I mean, this is not your usual office. This is where you record, right?
Yep.
And you've done this for 6 years. You're way seasoned and down the road. But it doesn't really take that much to get started. What would you say in the first 6 months or so? What do I need to get started?
Yeah. I mean, there are tons of free and low cost software options when it comes to editing, with the kind of adoption of AI tools. There's even more user friendly ways to create videos now. Cell phones have great cameras. There's tons of accessories for cell phone video production, which you can absolutely use. So the barrier to entry has never been lower when it comes to video production. I mean, even again, look at the birth of YouTube in 2000s. The tagline was broadcast yourself. That's the era that we're in. So anybody can do it. You shouldn't be intimidated by equipment or anything like that. The tools are out there, and you absolutely don't need to go best of the best right out of the gate. Get some content under your belt, figure out the process, and start with those simple, basic tools. Look, when we started this video journey 6-7 years ago, we were using like Sony handy cams, little camcorders. We had tiny LED lights. That kind of stuff is totally fine when you're first getting started. Use your stills camera, your DSLR, use your your muralist that you have to take wedding photos. There's all kinds of stuff that you can start with when it comes to video production and create really good stuff. But it comes down to using those tools in the right way. And again, luckily we live in an era where there's so much education, free education that is out there right now. So if you take those tools and really understand how to use them the right way, get on YouTube, understand lighting, understand editing principles, that stuff is going to take you far. So don't be, number one, intimidated by what gear do I need to purchase or what do I need to make available for a video producer. But then secondly, make sure that you're using what you have to its fullest ability. It's not about the gear. It's about the work that you put in, the production value that you bring in as a video producer. Now, that's not to say that better gear, nicer gear is not helpful, that it won't improve efficiency or the look of your product, because it certainly will. But you have to understand how to use it. So that's part of the reason why that initial video producer search is so important as well, which is something I didn't mention when we talked about how to be a good manager, is you have to know how to hire the right person. So when it comes to that, I'd say don't be intimidated, but learn how to use the tools that you have.
That was actually exactly my next question. You set me up there really well. What should I be looking for? If I'm looking for someone who is going to become sort of someone like you in 6 years, what kind of qualities and criteria does this person need in order to really make this successful?
Yeah, the content creators, when it comes to this kind of stuff, have a really unique, I guess, quality when it comes to they can both subject matter experts, work with a team, collaborate really well, understand the buyer's journey, and then they can take that side, switch over to another side, and get deeply focused on their own work to edit the video, to publish on YouTube, and then work by themselves. So it's kind of that dichotomy of being an ultimate collaborator, but also being a self-starter that I think is super important when it comes to qualities when you're looking for a content creator. The other thing is, a little bit more practically, I'd say, is most important thing I look for when I'm reviewing a video producer resume is their reel, their sample reel. And it's not just like the 2-minute collage of different stuff that the compilation of different videos they've done, but I want to watch full videos, 2 or 3 full videos that they've done. I want to see what interviewing skills they have, what lighting skills they have, how they're editing, what B-roll they capture, how well they tell a story. That's what I'm looking for, is their portfolio. The resume and experience is important, but the work that they've done is, to me, more important. And then when you get into that interview process, understanding that they're a good fit for your team, for your organization, and that they have that collaboration mindset while being a self-starter.
You mention you look at the video? Are you asking them to make a video specifically to a certain topic? Are you giving them an activity to do and make a video? Or is it just send me your best video?
We used to do that. I would say that it can be helpful. And there's a part of me that is a little bit torn when it comes to that, because that's a lot of work that you're asking someone to do. Sometimes I think now the most important thing for us is the portfolio. And a lot of creators will have a sample website or a Vimeo page or something like that they can send you. And if that's satisfactory to me and we're down the road and we understand, then I'm not going to ask them to do a homework assignment. The probably exception would be as if there are 2 really good candidates that I just cannot choose between. But honestly, even then, I think it would really come down to fit. So I'd say the portfolio is going to give you most of your answers. And if you're not experienced in hiring creatives or video producers or content creators, their homework assignment may not tell you more than their portfolio will anyways, unless it's specific to your business. But that's my opinion.
That's a good point. Yeah, and especially video. It's one thing to ask someone to write 400 words on a certain topic, but it's a whole nother animal to create a 2-minute video.
Yeah, for sure. And who's to say that they have if you've got a lengthy interview process and then you're also asking them to do a homework assignment, it seems like the job market is changing and the candidates are not not willing to do that anymore. And I'm not even sure that it's right to ask that all the
Yeah.
time. So it's really kind of a balance there to make sure that you're respectful of everybody's time, going down the path the right way.
Never give assignments just as busy work, right? I wrote an article about assignment something today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is we've also seen companies like use those assignment videos in their own work and what
Oh,
they
no.
release. They shouldn't do
No,
that
that's not
either.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, good. What is the most controversial video that you've done that you got first some initial pushback, and how did that pan out?
So when you say pushback, do you mean internally or from like viewers?
I would say internally.
Yeah, so definitely ones that talk about competitors or ones that talk about like the other, let's say, things in the industry that people don't talk about or won't talk about when it comes to warranties or whatever it might be. I think that type of content is always a little bit of a, you always have to have that discussion, like, why are we doing this? Why are we saying this? Why are we putting this out here? Isn't it going to give our competitors an edge, or aren't we giving away too much information? So that has happened, but the important thing is to remember that you're creating for your customers, not your competitors. And the customers nowadays are, a lot of that information that you think is, you shouldn't say or shouldn't get outside these four walls, customers probably already know it, depending on what it is, especially about competitors. So is it going to be more beneficial to talk about it, or will it be more hurtful if your competitors talk about it instead? So those kind of points are important to bring up.
Yeah, you get to own the conversation. You get to control the narrative there a bit. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I have one more question for you, or actually two. The first one is a little segment I like to call the 2-minute rant. And essentially, I'm going to ask you just to think about a topic that really pushes your buttons. Could be video related or marketing, sales related, and just rant. You ready? You have something in mind?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very chill. I don't get worked up very much. So one thing I have, maybe it's not a rant, but it's just like an unfortunate side effect of being a content creator. But sometimes when, especially if you look at us as a national company, I'm all over the place around the United States filming different things like that. And one thing that's always tough and always creates a roadblock is when I'm at a location, I film a bunch of videos, come back to my home base, start editing, and then something happens where either I discover it or somebody in the review process discovers it, where all of a sudden, like, that whole piece of content becomes unusable. So that, and it could be, let's say, because we're a super safety focused company. Let's say we're at a customer location or we're at a job site or something like that, and someone in the background might not have the correct PPE on or something like that. And suddenly that footage becomes unusable because we want to promote the best safety practices we can, as an example. So that always kind of puts a damper on content when that happens. We always try to catch as much as possible when it comes to maybe saying the correct stuff on camera, or it could be like a product becomes obsolete between the time you shoot and by the time you edit it. That's kind of rare, but it does happen sometimes. That's what I would say.
Hmm. Another one that I was just thinking of when you were saying it, as you're saying it, is people starting over and over. Or no, can I just start again? And they don't continue talking. But I'm talking about myself, by the way. All right. Last question to you here is, what is a book that you've read in the last 6 to 12 months or so that has really impacted your life?
I love Radical Candor. I mean, that's a book that I've read a couple times, and I have some sticky notes on my desk to remind me of different things when it comes to that. And that's always something that I kind of think about when approaching subject matter experts or really anybody within work or even personal life. I think that's the principles in that book are super helpful to make sure that you're being caring, but you're also being direct. And that's that communication and setting expectations that I really keep coming back to. And it's kind of become the theme of our discussion, honestly, that making sure that you're being radically candid in what you do. And that's going to make everybody's lives a little bit easier when it comes to that communication aspect. So I highly recommend it. If any of the listeners haven't read Radical Candor, maybe you have, I'd read it again. Because honestly, every time I pick it up, there's a little reminder that, yeah, maybe I could think about that a little more. So,
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of my favorite books. And it's definitely also helpful with parenting.
yeah, there you go.
Believe it or not. All right, Thad, I want to really thank you for the insights and for being radically candid with us, to really share from your wisdom and knowledge. And I wish you all the best. And I'm so honored that you came on today. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Hannah. I really appreciate you inviting me and yeah, enjoyed the conversation we had.
Thank you. Bye.